Welcome everyone. Today we are starting 7.4. This is solving linear systems by multiplying first. So this is an extension of elimination. Today, instead of adding and subtracting though, we're going to be multiplying. So we have 5x plus 2y equals 16 and 3x minus 4y equals negative 20. Now, we're trying to multiply these. We're trying to multiply to get rid of one of our variables, either x or y. So we need to eliminate one of them by multiplying first. So I see that we have a 2 and a 4 here. I know that I can multiply this 2 by something to get a 4. Now, because this is already positive and this is already negative, I know it could be easy to eliminate. So I have to figure out what can I multiply by 2 to get to 4. Well, I know that 2 times 2 will give me 4. So when we multiply by 2 though, we have to remember to multiply everything by 2. So 2 times 5x will give us 10x. 2 times positive 2y will give us a positive 4y. And 2 times 16 will give us 32. So these are our new numbers. We can add them together to eliminate them. 3x plus 10x gives us 13x. Negative 4y plus 4y is 0, so we can cancel that out. We eliminated it. And 20 plus 32 gives us 52. So then all we need to do is divide by 13 to find out what our x is. So if I divide 32 or 52 by 13, I get x equals 4. So now I know what x is. Now we can take that 4 and substitute it into one of our equations to find out what y is. So I'm going to take the top equation and go 5 times 4 instead of x now, plus 2y equals 16. So 5 times 4 is going to give me 20, plus 2y equals 16. I'm going to subtract 20 to get rid of it. So we get 2y equals 16 minus 20, which is negative 4. And divide by 2, y equals a negative 2. So our solution then is x equals 4 and y equals negative 2. Here we have 2x plus 5y equals 3 and 3x plus 10y equals negative 3. Now 2 and 3 is hard to multiply to get to something where they're equal, but 5 and 10, I can multiply this 5 by something to get to 10. Now they're both positive, so I know I want one of them to be negative. So I'm going to multiply this top equation by a negative 2. That way I'll get a negative 10 from the 5y. So negative 2 times 2 gives us negative 4x. Negative 2 times 5 gives us a negative 10y. And negative 2 times 3 gives us a negative 6. So now we add those together. 3x plus a negative 4x gives us a negative 1x. 10y plus a negative 10y gives us 0. Those are eliminated. And negative 3 plus a negative 6 is a negative 9. Now if I divide by negative 1, x equals a positive 9. Now I'm going to take that 9 and I'm going to plug it in for one of our equations. I'm going to take this top one and go 2 times 9 plus 5y equals 3. 2 times 9 gives me 18 plus 5y equals 3. Subtract 18 and 5y equals a negative 15. If we divide by 5, y equals a negative 3. So our solution is x equals 9 and y equals negative 3. So our solution is an ordered pair of 9, negative 3. Alright, this one we have 6x and 2x, 5y and 3y, and 19 and 5. Well, I see that I could multiply this 2 by something to get to 6. I couldn't multiply the 3 by something to get to 5. So I'm going to multiply this 2. Now both of them are positive, so I want to multiply by a negative. So 6x times a negative 3. If I multiply those, we get 6x plus 5y equals 19, and negative 6x minus 15y equals negative 15. 6x minus 6x gives us 0. 5y minus 15y gives us a negative 10y. And 19 minus 15, alright, 19 plus a negative 15 gives us 4. So if we divide these, negative 10 and negative 10, sorry guys, made a mistake. I did negative 3 times 5. Instead, I should have done negative 3 times 3, which makes the y negative 3 times 3 and negative 9. Y. This is still negative 15, so that's 4. But 5 plus a negative 9 gives me a negative 4. Then we can divide by negative 4. And y equals a negative 1. That's an easier number to work with than what I was going to have. So now we can put that negative 1 in. So we have 2x plus 3 times a negative 1 equals 5. So 2x minus 3 equals 5. And we add 3. 2x equals 5 minus 3, which is 2. And we divide by 2. X equals 1. Oh, sorry, again I made a mistake. We had to add the 3. So this is actually 8 divided by 2. So this turns into a 4. So x equals 4. Our solution is 4, negative 1. Okay, here we don't have our x's and our y's lined up. So what I want to do is I want to move this 5x over to the other side. So I know I'm going to subtract 5x from both sides. So we get a negative 5x plus 9y equals 5, and 3x minus 7y equals 5. Now, if I look at these two numbers, I see that 5 and 3, none of those can be multiplied, or 3 can't be multiplied by anything to get to 5. 7 can't be multiplied by anything to get to 9. So what I want to do here is, instead of multiplying just one, I'm going to multiply both equations. Now I see that 5 and 3 are the smaller numbers, and I know that 5 times 3 would give me 15. One is negative and one is positive. So what I'm going to try to do is get to 15x for both of my equations. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to multiply the top equation by 3. and I'm going to multiply the bottom equation by 5. So 3 times a negative 5x gives me a negative 15x. 3 times 9 is a plus positive 27y. And 3 times 5 is 15. Then the bottom equation, 5 times 3x is 15x. 5 times negative 7y is a negative 35y. And 5 times 5 is 25. Now I have things I can eliminate. If I add negative 15 plus 15, that eliminates, it's 0. 27 plus a negative 35y gives me a negative 8y. And 15 plus 25 gives me 40. So if we divide by negative 8, y is going to equal a negative 5. Then I can take that negative 5, replace it for a y, so 3x minus 7 times negative 5 equals 5. So 3x plus 35 is going to equal 5. Now I'm going to subtract 35 from both sides to make it 3x equals negative 30. Divide by 3. And x will equal a negative 10. So our solution then is negative 10, negative 5. Alright, again I want to move over the 3x, or the x to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 3x. So we get negative 3x plus 2y equals negative 9. Then if I bring this equation down, it's 4x plus 5y equals 35. Now, what I see is I can multiply either of these numbers to get a certain number, but one is already negative, this negative 3. So I want to just keep this 3 negative, and what the lowest common, not the lowest common denominator, but the greatest common multiple is 12. So I'm going to multiply till I get to 12. So negative 3, how do I get that to negative 12? Well, I multiply it by 4. 4, how do I get that to 12? Well, I multiply it by 3. So we get a negative 12x plus 8y equals negative 9. 12x, and 3 times 5 gives me 15y. And 3 times 35, that's going to give me 105. So we can take these 12x's and eliminate them. 8y plus 15y gives us 23y. And negative 9 plus 105 is going to give us a 96. But before I do that, I forgot to multiply the 4 and the negative 9, so this is actually a negative 36, which changes this. So I actually have 105 plus a negative 36, which gives us 69. Divide that by 23. And y equals 69 divided by 23, which is 3. Now I'll take that 3 and I'll plug it into one of my equations. So I will plug it into this top one. So negative 3x plus 2 times 3 equals negative 36, or negative 9. So negative 3x plus 6 equals negative 9. I subtract 6, get negative 3x equals a negative 15. X equals a positive 5. So our solution is 5, 3. Alright, now it says, a sports equipment store is having a sale on soccer balls. A soccer coach purchases 10 soccer balls and 2 soccer bags for $155. Another soccer coach purchases 12 soccer balls and 3 soccer ball bags for $189. Find the cost of a soccer ball and the cost of a soccer ball bag. So I think I'm going to make these two equations. My soccer ball is going to be S, and my soccer ball bag will be B. So we have 10 times S, 10 soccer balls, and 2 soccer ball bags. So I'm going to add those together to B for $155. Then the second one, I have 12 soccer balls, so 12S plus 3B is going to equal 189. So if I add these together, I'm going to need to figure out how I can eliminate one. Now I see that 10 and 12 are pretty big numbers. 2 and 3 are pretty small, so I want to multiply those. And then the greatest common multiple will be 6. So I'm going to try to get these to 6. Now one of them needs to be negative, so I can eliminate it. So I'm going to make this 2 negative by multiplying by a negative 3. And I'm going to make this one by multiplying 2. So 3 times negative 10, or negative 3 times 10 gives a negative 30s. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6b. And 155 times a negative 3 gives me a negative 465. Now the bottom side, 2 times 12s is going to give 24s. 2 times 3 is going to give a positive 6b. And 189 times 2 gives a 378. So if we add these together, negative 30s plus 24s gives a negative 6s. Those cancel. And a negative 465 plus 378 gives a negative 87. I divide those by 6, or negative 6. I get S equals 14.5. So that's $14.50 for a soccer ball. Now I have to put that $14.50 back into one of my equations. So I'm going to put it into this top one. So 10 times 14.5 plus 2b equals 155. 14.5 times 10 gives a negative, or not a negative, a 145 equals 155. So I'm going to subtract 145 and we get 2b equals 10. Divide by 2, and it looks like a bag costs $5. So a bag costs $5, a soccer ball costs $14.50. Finally, we just have a notes sheet for you to use. Make sure you keep this somewhere safe so you can look at it as we go along in this chapter. It has a table method, a graphing method, substitution method, addition, subtraction, and multiplication methods.